Okay, so what if I told you the next huge Avengers movie, Doomsday, isn't really about Kang or the multiverse, at least not in the way we think? What if it's actually a secret direct sequel to Avengers Endgame? Today, we're going to break down a pretty compelling theory that the clues have been hiding in plain sight for years.
And I mean, that's the big question, right? Endgame was ages ago. We're talking nearly 8 years before Doomsday is even supposed to come out. With literally dozens of movies and shows released in between, how can this new film possibly be a direct follow-up? Well, as it turns out, the answer is woven right into the fabric of Endgame itself.
Okay, so to get how this is even possible, we first got to change our thinking about what a direct sequel even means in the MCU. It turns out Marvel kind of has two completely different playbooks for making them.
The best example, the absolute gold standard for this, is Infinity War and Endgame. Think about it. Endgame's entire story, its whole reason for existing, is a direct result of that devastating snap at the end of Infinity War. The first movie's cliffhanger is the literal launch pad for the sequel's entire plot.
Right, so think back to the first two Avengers movies. They were kind of their own thing, right? To really get Age of Ultron, you basically had to do your homework. You needed to see Iron Man 3 and The Winter Soldier. But Infinity War and Endgame, they shattered that mold. They were two halves of one epic story. The theory we're digging into is that Doomsday isn't using that old model. It's picking up the threads Endgame left behind.
So how is that even possible? Well, it all circles back to one thing: the Time Heist. Yep, the very move that saved the day, the thing that gave them their victory, was also the single biggest mistake they ever made. It's the big bang for the entire multiverse saga.
You know, Bruce Banner was so sure he had it all worked out, but this quote, this really gets to the heart of how reckless they were being. They thought they were just borrowing from the past, like a library book, but in reality, they were tearing pages out, creating chaos they couldn't even begin to understand.
And I mean, just look at the mess they left behind. This wasn't some neat little snip and tuck job. They left a trail of new timelines, new branches, and every single one was a ticking time bomb. From Loki getting a get-out-of-jail-free card to creating an entire timeline without a Thanos, these weren't surgical strikes, they were multiversal car crashes.
All right, so let's get into the evidence. Let's break down the actual loose ends. And these aren't just little fan theories, okay? These are major, unresolved plot points that Endgame literally created and then just walked away from, setting the stage for everything to come.
First up, the big one, evidence file number 1, Lokis Escape. You remember this. During that chaotic trip to 2012, the Avengers totally fumble the ball, and that timeline's Loki grabs the Tesseract and poof, he's gone. This wasn't just a minor slip-up. It literally kicked off a whole new saga.
And the fallout from that one mistake? It's just staggering. I mean, it's the entire reason we have the Loki series. It's why the TVA collapsed. It's why Loki himself is now sitting at the end of time, literally holding reality together with his bare hands. This isn't some side quest, people. This is a direct, foundational result of the Time Heist. Okay, so that's the 2012 mess. But believe it or not, that was just the appetizer. The 2014 timeline is an even bigger problem, because this is a mess that Captain America couldn't just tidy up by returning the stones. I mean, think about it. Cap could return the Infinity Stones, no problem. But how do you return a Thanos and his entire army after they've been turned to dust? You can't. And what about the 2014 Gamora? She's now a living, breathing paradox stuck in our timeline. These are permanent, reality-breaking changes that never, ever got fixed.
And then we have the little emergency detour to 1970. Now this one was a bit more subtle, but man, it might have planted the seeds for one of the biggest mysteries we have yet to see unfold.
So yeah, they swiped the Pym particles, but Tony also has that really emotional talk with his dad, Howard. But Howard says something weird. He mentions his wife is expecting, and Tony gets this look on his face. Now this could just be a throwaway line, or it could be a massive breadcrumb leading to something huge, maybe even connecting to Dr. Doom down the line. But all of that, all those loose ends, they are nothing compared to the biggest, most personal, reality-shattering loose end of them all, Steve Rogers' final choice.
This quote just says it all, doesn't it? After a whole lifetime of putting everyone else first, of sacrifice, Steve finally decided to do something for himself. He listened to Tony and went back to get the life he was robbed of.
But here's the thing, this wasn't just him retiring. By choosing to stay in the past with Peggy, Steve Rogers actively created an entirely new universe just for himself.
It was a beautiful, completely selfish act with consequences for the multiverse that are just unimaginable. And this is where it gets really wild. There's this incredible theory that the old man Steve we see, he didn't just spend his life dancing and listening to old records. It's possible he's already lived through the coming multiversal war. He's not just some happy old guy, he could be a veteran of the very crisis his own choice helped kickstart.
Okay, so let's take a step back from the story for a second and look at the real-world genius of this. Why would Marvel do this? Because from a business and a storytelling perspective, it is an absolutely brilliant move.
It all comes down to one simple, massive fact. Avengers Endgame is the second highest grossing film of all time. We gotta remember, this wasn't just another movie. It was a global phenomenon. Basically, everyone on the planet saw it.
And that right there is Marvel's biggest challenge right now. Because, yeah, everyone saw Endgame, but has everyone kept up since? No way. Well, us hardcore fans have watched every single show and movie. A giant piece of that casual audience just fell off.
So, by making Doomsday a direct sequel to Endgame, you fix that problem. Just like that. You're telling that huge audience, hey, remember that movie you loved? You don't need to do a bunch of homework. If you saw Endgame, you're all set for this one. It taps into that powerful nostalgia, it makes the new film totally accessible, and it's their best shot at recapturing that Endgame magic.
So we're left with this crazy, kind of perfect idea. What if the mess the Avengers made in Endgame, their biggest mistakes, is the very thing that's going to save the MCU? Could their greatest victories fallout be the anchor that not only defines this whole new saga, but brings everyone back to theaters for the ride? It's a pretty wild thought, and honestly, I can't wait to see if it's true.